Whew. So I really have no idea who's live right now. I think Tracy said she was going live, but I really need to talk about this. And I would really like Rev to talk about this with me. It's very rare for somebody to get me this upset. It's really rare. Like, I've never seen anybody come at me like that, like, ever. I didn't know what to say. It basically left me speechless. um I don't think I've ever been in an argument with someone in my entire life on who's done more drugs. That's never ever crossed my mind. Like, I've never said that to anyone. So I'm still kind of like dumbfounded by that. For whatever reason, I can't drop links. I don't know what's going on. Thank you, Galway. I really appreciate you for that. You know, everybody that has an addiction has a history, and anybody that I've ever talked to about their addiction, I've never sat there and said, well, that's not shit. I did way more drugs than you. That's never, ever crossed my mind. Like, ever. I've never been talked to that way. So it kind of like threw me off. And then after BTS ended her live, we're still fighting in StreamYards. And I don't want that. I don't want to do that with you. Like, I don't care if you've done more drugs than me. At least you're clean today, and just because I'm 40 doesn't mean that I don't have a history and I don't have a past, because I do. And I'm not trying to compare any of that with you. You're very young, Rev. So I can understand, you want to make it look like, oh, you've done all this and all that, and you're somebody. I choose not to compare that with anybody, man. Like, I don't understand you. And then you started calling me names. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I have always been cool with this kid. Like, always. And then he's going to start trashing calling me names. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Is there an echo?
Like, yeah. Been cool with this kid.
Okay, now is it gone?
It is.
I don't know. I don't know what just happened on that panel.
I don't either. Like,
but Rev, first of all, Sarah didn't bring that up. You did. And I'm triggered as an addict's mother, that you could sit there and think for 1 minute that you've got this monopoly on drug use.
I'm actually speechless. I don't even know what to say. I've never had anybody come at me like that, ever. And usually I'm pretty good when it comes to addiction. I'm pretty good with talking to people, And so when he started coming at me sideways with, oh, you don't know shit because I've been on Opana. Okay. I mean, what does that even mean? It all breaks down to the same chemical. So
let me tell you something. I said when my son
Trisha,
was on
I love you.
When my son was on Opana, they finally got to the point with what they did was they changed the compound of Opana where you could no longer water them down.
Yes.
and shoot them up.
Yes.
So that is what led my son to heroin.
Yeah.
Okay. But while I'm sitting with him as he has chills and shitting himself and puking, and I'm pumping Gatorade down him and candy and everything else that I can, because he had a craving for chocolate. Uh,
Yeah.
while I sat with him for 4 days, locked him in his bedroom, cleaned up his puke, washed his shitty clothes. Don't sit there and tell me about Opana, because I've seen what it did to people. And that's exactly what happened when they gelled up Opanas where you could no longer break them down and use them in a syringe, is when people turned to heroin.
Yeah.
So for some 20 something year punko kid to sit there, I've been through addiction for longer than 20 years. Every time my son stuck a needle in his body, he stuck it in me. It got so bad that I sat down at a table one day and I laid out $100 bill and I said, "Here, go get us a couple bags of heroin. I want to see what is so freaking intriguing about this substance that you would kill yourself over it." I've had to Narcan my son. I've watched him lay on the floor as paramedics come through the fucking door because I couldn't get him awake. So, Rev, please, please, please don't think you have some kind of fucking monopoly on drugs. And to think that it's something to brag about, the only thing to brag about is the fact that you're clean and you're sober and that you fight every single day to stay that way. And for God's sakes, for those that are still out there, still struggling, do me a favor. If you're not going to reach your hand out to help them, then keep your fucking mouth shut.
Rev, I'm sure you have a story and you should share that story instead of trying to say, oh, I've done more drugs than you. Maybe you can share your story to people that still struggle. Opana is a really hard narcotic to get off of, and I said that during that live, and you wanted to sit there and like call me names and tell me I'm old.
I don't see where age has anything to do with addiction. I can't make them line up. I can't make the two things connect.
Like, I don't want to sit there and brag about all the drugs I did because that's not what's important. I mean, it looks really dumb to sit there and say, I've done more drugs than you. That is so childish. Like, I mean, why is that something to be proud of? That's nothing to be proud of.
No, his 3 year sobriety is what he should be proud of.
Yes. And I mean, it upset me and really got me, man. Like, I don't think I've ever been talked to that way, especially about that, like, ever. So I mean, it kind of shocked me. Like, I'm sitting there like, whoa, is this kid being serious? Like, wow. I've been 27, I've been 24 using drugs. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, I've done more drugs than you. I think that's what really bothers me. Like, why are you trying to say that you've done more drugs than somebody? Why is that even relevant to you? Why is that even important to you? What should be important is the fact that you're clean today. You could be telling people how you got clean, how you've been able to stay clean, instead of sitting there trying to brag how many drugs you've done. I don't know. I think it's crazy.
That whole panel got crazy
Oh,
within a
man.
matter of seconds.
It did. And Rep Ash, I love you. She sat there and talked to me even after Rev got off. And, she's trying to calm me down because I kind of I started running my mouth. Congratulations, Rev. I don't want to be that person, though, man. And I don't know why we have to
Well, he
sit there and
triggered you.
cuss. Yeah, I don't know why we have to get people to that point. That's been my whole thing all along. Why do we have to sit there and trash talk somebody to get them to the point where they want to sit there and just say god awful things about someone? Why do we need to be there? Why do we need to do that? Is it worth the entertainment? Because it causes people pain to do that. And
I'm
Rev,
sorry.
I'm sorry that
I've
I'm
never
sorry
dealt
you
with this
lost your
kid
mom.
before.
Rev, I'm sorry you
I've
lost your
lost my
mom.
mom too. There's a lot of people on this platform that no longer has their parents. And the sad thing is when I leave this world, my biggest fear is that my son kills himself using drugs.
I'm 40 years old, and there's not a day that gets any easier when it comes to my mom. And I watched her die, I was there. And so, I have a lot of pain from that too. And that's where a lot of my depression comes from. So I definitely wouldn't use the loss of a parent to go at someone. And I don't understand why you can sit there and say, well, my mom died. You know what? A lot of our moms have died. It doesn't make you any better, man. Like, it doesn't make your story
any more important or any less important.
Yeah.
It's your story, Rev. It
And I'm
belongs to
sorry you
you.
lost your mom. I'm really sorry. I mean, I don't think he knew that there was some of us that have lost parents too. And does it mean that it doesn't matter to me because I'm an old lady? Are you kidding me?
Well, calling somebody 40 something old, Rev, I'm sorry, but baby, before you know it, you're going to be right there. Time slips away really quick. I never thought I'd live to be 55, but I have. And I damn well never thought my son would live to be 34, but he has.
Hey,
And
True
and that's
Helper.
by the grace of God.
Well, hello.
Hey.
Hello, True Helper.
You,
Like,
you have you have absolutely
I don't know
nothing.
why that panel turned into what it did, but
You have absolutely nothing to feel bad about, Sarah. Everything that I heard sounded like the normal experience from any and every addict that I have ever had the privilege and honor of being friends with, sponsoring, or just being around.
I'm sorry,
The
Carla Ray.
fact of the matter is that people, and I don't know, I guess I just got to air out something real quick. I have little to no respect for men that sit there and speak to women in certain ways. And I guess it's because of how my mom raised me. I don't know. And frankly, I don't give a damn. Men often wonder why women get upset after cussing and yelling and all that. Well, you know what? Then maybe some education might be needed or sensitivity training. I don't know what it is. But first and foremost, I just wanted to get that out of the way. They are, in my mind, or at least in my opinion, there was nothing that you did to deserve the way that you were treated. Respect is earned, it's not given. And as far as I'm concerned, Sarah, you have given so many the utmost respect in and around our community. Yeah, have you had grievances with other? Sure, but who hasn't? Because most of the people that I know and that I even see in chat here today, at one time or another have had issue with others, or I'm sure I can honestly say that many of them have had issues with others in their own personal lives. But to sit there on a panel like that and to almost weaponize one's personal experience and try to make it sound as if theirs was any worse than another's is the sheer definition of ignorance.
See,
oh,
that's
Because
what
there is
absolutely.
no addiction.
that's what got to me, True Helper, was he was almost like demolishing Sarah's story. That's
Yeah, and I
Sarah's
know exactly
story.
why. I know exactly why. It's because there's obviously a lack of experience. And let me just be clear for everybody here today. Okay. I've always liked Rev, because I've only seen him here and there, and I don't really know him well. I've only seen him around the past few weeks or so, but he's always come off as, I've always just thought he was funny. But anyway, so I'm not here to bash him. However, I am here to set the record straight about maybe some misunderstandings or some ignorance that is had on his part. At any given time, there are over 21 million Americans that are addicted to one thing or another, and drug overdose deaths have more than tripled since 1990.
Yeah.
23.7% of all Americans are either in recovery care or are in active addiction. With 329 million people in the country, that is a whopping number. Okay, so one of the first rules, one of the first, I should say, lessons learned in recovery care is that your addiction is no greater or worse than anyone else's. And obviously,
Exactly.
even before that, obviously, acceptance, over what you can't control, when you got to give it up to God, obviously, is first. But you know what I mean.
Maybe take your personal inventory, Rev. Take your
It,
own personal inventory instead of trying to take Sarah's or anybody else's.
What
you
did
know,
I say to him that upset him so bad? I don't
know.
Well,
know.
I've seen, and the reason why I guess I can speak to that is because I have seen and actually had many sponsees that have been in that mind space. And even at one time, I can remember when I was in my younger 20s, I can remember feeling a sense of self or a sense of entitlement or whatever. And this is just me, not speaking about Rev here. But I remember around that age, and I think back, I had a lot of common misunderstandings only because I didn't have the education. I wasn't educated in a lot of things that I thought I knew, that I look back upon now, where I can remember having even debates with people. And now I get cringe moments because I'm like, wow, what was I thinking? But when it comes down to addiction, it is a very emotional topic that has
Mhm.
taken the lives of millions and millions of people all around the world. There is no story that is worse or better than another. And yeah, you want to talk about purity of heroin and all that stuff. I've been in and around the Kensington area in Philadelphia, and I have many sponsors and sponsees that are all over New Jersey and the old Williamstown area. That was at one time the meth capital of the country, right up through Kensington and right down into Delaware and many other parts.
I would really like to believe that Rev is just having a bad day.
It could be, but I don't think that anybody's bad day should ever warrant or
Yeah,
make them feel entitled to treat a
abuse.
woman that way. Because again, that maybe it's just me here, but I would never speak to a woman that way. I couldn't fathom ever doing something like that because it doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel good to me. And it doesn't make me any better or special or anything like that. But I know how my mom raised me, and if I even looked at a woman wrong, I can bet your ass she'd have my ass quick. Or with my siblings.
You are so respectful to everyone in this community, True Helper. I wish more people were like you because, a lot of people respect you for the way you do treat women.
Well,
You're a very good man.
I know I
Maybe
get a
at
lot
his
of
age.
person.
I don't know how old Rev is, but I'm assuming he's pretty young.
He said 27.
27. Yeah.
hmm
No,
And
I
that's why I
know.
say I kind of understand where he's at in his struggle and all that. And 3 years into it, or 3 years into recovery, I feel that maybe the program hasn't really reached certain levels with him yet. Or, I mean, in many cases too, with certain patients, sometimes they just haven't reached that level of understanding or wisdom just yet. And I get it, because like I said, I mean, we're not perfect. And again, at one time, that's why I was sharing my life story from when I was young. I can remember being around that age where I had a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings and spoke to things that I look back upon now where I'm like, holy crap, why did I ever even embarrass myself like that? And that's why I hope that he can actually learn here today. It is a golden rule. And let me just put this out there, because Rev, I don't think you and I have ever had a one-on-one, or maybe you've never seen me on a panel before, but I have been in and around the recovery care programs for over 20 years, and I have been a sponsor for darn near just as long. But I am.
Rev, it's about duking it out. This is not a fight.
No, it's not a fight. Not at all. Not at all. But I
The
only say
fight
that.
is
So
staying clean and sober every day, dude.
exactly. That's exactly what it's about. Anything you have to do in any way, shape, or form to conquer said addiction is just what you have to do. But coming on a panel and start to try to compare your experience with somebody else, and then trying to minimize or even dehumanize or disrespect another because someone thinks their experience or the type of drug that they have had experience with is better or worse than another, is just not the way that you do things. Because again, in a real,
It's
even
a
in a group
real, Rev.
therapy session, you would see it very, very fast. It just doesn't work that way. It never has, and it never will. It never will. Well, I'm here because I've felt like not only sticking up for my friend Sarah here, but also to put some truths out there in the way that I feel. And hopefully, if you're open minded enough, you will hear not just my voice, but my message. Because I've dealt with people, we have an old saying, and it's not exactly accurate, but almost 8 to 80 blind, crippled, or crazy, as we always say. But I have dealt
Wow,
with
Mac.
children that have been addicted as young as 13 to 14 years old, and with people that have actually been 91 years old that have been addicts. Okay, so yes, I think I know a thing or two about addiction. I don't know it all because Lord knows I study into the science, I study into the molecular breakdowns of these drugs that affect people in so many different horrific ways. And likewise, I study into all these garbage, major, big pharmaceutical manufacturers that do nothing but pump this crap out into our society and then expect us just to be responsible with it when it's so highly addictive. That's why you see the makers of OxyContin going through the $1 billion lawsuit or $1 million lawsuit right now. It's insane. And Sarah, I am so sorry for how you were treated. I really am. I mean, all I know is my oldest is 28. Okay. And I can tell you one thing right now. He would never, ever treat a woman like that. And I'm not even saying it like, oh, I would whoop his ass or anything. No, because I know he wouldn't. It's just the way that he was raised. Okay. If you have a disagreement, especially with a woman, you air it out as such, but you don't get there and you start throwing out names and shit like that. Then your whole entire argument is then null and void. It is now muted because of said aggression, because of said anger, because of said disrespect. It just doesn't get you anywhere. And I think that's another one of the biggest issues in our country right now, that there is so much disrespect that's had because people have a bit of different political ideology and even personal ideology that they feel like they got to almost literally physically stomp somebody out because they don't see eye to eye with that person. That is disgusting. And that is not, as a human being, as one of God's children, because guess what? I hate to remind everybody, but yes, black, white, Mexican, this, that, the other, it doesn't matter. We all bleed red, and we are all, in fact, God's children. That's just the
Yes.
way that it is. It's exactly what it is. No man should ever treat a woman that way, as far as I'm concerned. And I tell you what, if in physical presence around somebody, you can bet your ass that I am that guy. If I hear a man speaking to a woman like that, I am that dude that says, dude, hey, maybe you need to calm down a little bit. It's not worth it. Just relax. And if it has to go another way, whatever. But like, I'm not up here to cry or plead Barney badass. I don't even like doing that anymore. Because at one time, yes, I was that guy too, and I didn't like that man either. But it took many years for me to get to where I am today. You know, people always talk about this respectful side and how I treat others. Well, I tell you, if I was in my early 20s, I'd fight you just as soon as look at you. If you had something that I wanted while I was an addict, I'd try to take it. And trust me, by force. 6'1", 230. MMA my whole life, Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo. Oh yeah, I thought I was Barney Badass. But then I was finally humbled one day when a good old sponsor that I now call one of my best friends actually whooped my ass left, right, and center. And I was grateful that he did because I needed it. I definitely needed it because I thought I knew everything. But boy, how quick was he to remind me. And trust, he was almost half my size. He treated me like I was a toy. And I'm saying that story because it's a humbling experience that I experienced in my life that made me grounded. It made me finally see the error of my ways. And then I remembered it was like a flooding of all these lessons that my mom raised me with. It was like, wow, okay, I made all these connections as to why she tried to raise me the way that she did. And it really
Wow,
helped me
Mac.
in my life. I appreciate it.
I'm going to go live in a little bit and talk about that, what Mac's talking about, but not this. I'm going to jump down. True helper, as usual. You're the
Oh, I'm so
voice of
sorry,
reason.
Tracy. I was on my soapbox. I really apologize.
No, as usual, you're the voice of reason. Rev, all I can tell you is congratulations on your years of sobriety. I hope you take that and instead of trying to outdo somebody with it, you do something with it to help another person. Um, I just, I don't know where that panel turned so crazy, but as the mother of an addict, and I've dealt with this since I mean, he's 34. I've dealt with this for well over 20 years. Well, right about 20 years. He probably started about 14. And I've cleaned up so many messes, and I've prayed, and it triggered me to I could just hear my 20-year-old son saying something like that. And it triggered me, to hear, oh, I've done this and I've done that. And it took a long time for me to make my son realize that it's not a badge of honor as far as what you've done. It's a badge of honor as far as how far you've come.
I
Rev, why
agree.
are you so angry? Take a link. I'm getting down. Sarah, if you want to give him a link, give him a link and figure this out.
Well,
I
I
don't
don't know.
I don't know why
It's
Rev
up
is
to
so
her.
angry. I don't, but
The,
I'm sure it's his story. So I'm jumping down. I'm going into the chat, and I'm gonna go live here in a little bit. So
all
I'll
right,
I'll
Jason.
be in your chat, Sarah. I love you. Where is Sarah?
I
Oh
don't
my gosh, I was muted.
Oh, yeah, for a little
I'm
bit.
so sorry. Tracy, thank you for coming up.
Rev,
Kiki, I said thank you. I'm so sorry. Sabrina and Pepper, thank you. I didn't know I was muted. I'm so sorry.
maybe Rev is in your chat. Maybe he can come and tell you why he's so angry. I don't know. But I'll
Okay,
be
I
in
love you,
chat, Sarah.
Tracy.
I love
Thank
you.
you so
True helper.
much.
Take care, dude.
I
That's
can't believe
fine.
I was muted. Here I was talking and I was muted. No,
It
true
happens.
helper, I'm so grateful for the knowledge and wisdom you share. I mean, you have so much to offer. And if people would just listen instead of trying to say, speak to me face to face, I mean,
Oh, I don't. I
Rev is
tell you what.
young.
Hey, I tell you what. I'm in and around the Philly area all the time. I'd love to meet people. I've actually met some of my good friends because they actually threatened to quote whoop my ass, and then when they've met me, all of a sudden it went from that to, well, look, here's the problem, and here's why it's happening. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then the civil discourse was had. And and hey, sometimes, I mean, hell, look, I'll bring my damn workout bag. I got 2 extra sets of gloves. We can hop in the ring and roll around for a while. Look, either way, I don't care. I've used every type of technique that I know to break through some of my sponsees and even fellow sponsors' heads. And then in many cases, even have some wisdom beaten into my own. Because sometimes, look, there's no perfect addict out there. There's no perfect recovery. There's no perfect doctor. There's no perfect anything. You know, sometimes we got to employ these techniques and methods. And frankly, I want to say, Rep, I hope you're able to walk away from this and know that this is not an attack on you. Okay.
Not at all. I want to know why he's so angry. Like, what made you so upset? And Rev, I'm so sorry you lost your mom. I truly am. I mean, I know what that feels like. So I'm so sorry for your loss. My condolences to you. But what have I done that has made you so mad? And if you hear me crying, yeah, I'm a big crybaby. I cry a lot. I can't help
It's
it.
okay.
I've got huge emotions. So
I'm here for you, Sarah. You
yeah.
know that. So, I wouldn't go anywhere. And hey, look, hey, if you think you can behave and you want to come up and have a chat, hey, I'm right here with you, Sarah. It's your choice. It's your call. It's fine by me. But I'm more than willing to speak like a gentleman and have some
And
civil
you always
discourse.
do. And
And
that's why I like you so much. I wish more people was like you. And I wish more people had respect like you have. And it's not okay to talk to women like that. And it's not a competition on who's done more drugs than the other.
exactly.
Or your drugs are better than mine because you live in Philly. I mean, what is that? Why are you trying to make this into an argument? Like, I've never had that argument with anybody, so I don't even know how to go about this. Like, why is that something to even argue about?
It's not. I can tell you the answer is it's not. There is no competition in addiction. Okay. And if somebody is in that mindset, then we always say that there is some further education and some further learning that is needed because it's
Oh,
very
thank you, my
obvious.
4 seasons. Thank you.
My 4 seasons.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
her. She's a gem. You should
Yeah.
check her out. She's got a great channel and she just got a puppy. I love her.
Puppy. Nice.
Yes, she's got a Rottweiler, and that's the cutest little thing.
Yeah, I had a couple Rottweilers many moons ago, about 30 years ago. But yeah, I loved them to death. Tell
Hmm.
you what. But again, I can't get past the fact that there are those out there that feel and think in these certain aggressive ways and manners. But then I almost immediately remind myself that, I too was once there. There's a lot of people that actually they have a lot of hate, and they have a lot of inward anger that they haven't quite vented or gotten out of their system. And I knew people that have been in the system for 5 to 10 years who still hold a very high level of animus. They really can't stand either what they did or even those that were around them that they feel that did them dirty. So I mean, there's so many different reasons, be it psychological or even physical in some.
Hmm.
I knew people just hate how they got, and even when they got sober, then now they're mad because they either gained too much weight or started other bad habits. And I mean, there's so many different reasons as to why people get angry, and then they feel like they need to lash out. But as far as comparing the addiction side of things, that's when I know that's kind of like a non-starter for me. It really is.
Rev, who brought up your ex addictions? You did that on your own. We didn't bring it up. You did.
I was listening to a Rev, and she's right. Look, one thing I won't do, I call right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't side with people when it comes to the different conversations that are being had, or even debates for that matter. Yeah, I'm open minded, and I've been like that for a very long time. But I saw and was listening earlier. Even more so, I started watching even further when I heard everything start to explode. And I thought it was sad that BTS felt like she had to just shut the whole entire thing down
You know
because,
what? And I respect her for that, because I'm sure that did trigger some people, and I'm sure it was really upsetting people. You
oh yeah,
know, I
it
was not
was.
saying nice things. Rev was not saying nice things, and she needed to end it. And I'm glad she did. I'm sorry that it got to that point to where she had to end her life. I apologize for that. It should have never happened. I should have just logged off.
Yeah, but honestly, I also was listening to it, not because I'm friendly with you or anything like that, but I did hear the most of the aggression was started and came from Rev first. I know that, and maybe it was already a heated conversation. And sometimes I've even noticed when people get in debates or even start talking about certain issues, they tend to get triggered. And in many cases, sometimes some of these people, they don't even realize that they're so pissed off, and then they start just talking,
And I
and
don't know
all these
where it
words
came
fly out of
from.
their mouths.
I have no idea where it came from, because Rev and I
I
have
really
always
don't
been
either.
real cool with each other. So it really caught me off guard. Rev, if you'd like to take a link and maybe talk this out, that's cool. But I'm not going to have you come into the chat and like disrespect people and call people names. That's not going to happen.
Mm,
Not here.
like I said, I'm here, or at least for a little while longer.
You
That's
know, I really respect you, True Helper. And so I'm not going to have somebody come in here and trash you all because you're friends with me or because you're trying to stand up for
It's
me.
like though I definitely appreciate that, Sarah. Trust me, words from another man is not going to get to me. I believe me. I have dealt with the best. I've dealt with the worst, and trust, I have had to put up with myself for these now almost 5 decades that I've been around. So
Right.
it's not going to get to me, And words are just, in fact, that words. And in many
Right.
situations, those words tend to change because people's ideology changes as they mature, as they grow. And that's just like that with
Absolutely.
any and everybody. My own ideology, my own perspective has changed, and it still changes. I learn off of every single person that I help, and then every single person that helps me. That's just the way that life is. Hey,
And I can relate to you. You know, when we were younger, that's what we did. We would fight, and you know, when we was in our addictions, we would beg, borrow, and steal. And you
hey,
know, when you get clean and find sobriety, all that changes. It's not you anymore. So, you know, Rev, when you're saying you've had 3 years clean, it's just odd that you want to pick a fight over something like who did more drugs or
well, I mean, everybody is different, though. And like I said, it's no shocker to me because I have seen those types before. And it doesn't make them any better or worse than others. It's just sometimes people have certain ways of focusing and processing certain emotions and feelings. And when just the sum total of all of their feelings starts to spew out all at once, it can be like very hateful and hurtful and all that. But in their mind, it doesn't feel anything other than them actually maybe standing up for themselves. And I see this in a lot of our society today, or I should say in our younger society, because there's many parents out there that really aren't taking the time to actually show a lot of their children how to process certain emotions. And let's face it, when there are parents of an addict, then now the new issue becomes, well, oh crap, I don't know anything about addiction. How do I properly teach my child to process these types of emotions and how to be as a person? And that's where hopefully, as I always suggest and try to educate many parents around the country, to just try to get educated. Get involved in the programs, get involved in NA and AlAnon and all of these different programs, because then you can learn some of these tips and techniques that will better help you educate and raise your child. And I
Oh,
say, but I
absolutely.
don't mean always as like a little kid or mentality. No, I mean as in somebody's actual birth child. That's just so that we're clear, so nobody gets triggered. Hey.
I've turned so many people to AlAnon because AlAnon is a great place to learn from people who's been through those experiences and that do have the experience to help others. It's a great thing to have in your life if you are struggling with a family member, loved one, child that is in the midst of an addiction and you don't know what to do. Al-Anon is so good for that.
I agree. I agree. Hey, Kaysen, it's good to see you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The resources that so many of
Yes.
these organizations have are just so above and beyond what they used to be. Because I can remember I was actually that person. I was that guy with many others that we've petitioned Congress so many times to try to get some more resources for the recovery care addictions programs. Because
Hmm.
back, going 20 years ago, and I know I've told this story before, but part of my story is I was the last patient of the first clinical trial of Suboxone treatment therapy. And
Hmm.
it was actually, I always thinking, I remember that day very well because when I called in, I was so desperate, and I'll never forget them telling me, "Well, we're sorry, the program's full, and you just missed it." And then literally like 12 hours later, I think it was when she called me back and she said, "We had somebody drop out. We have an opening." And I looked above after all the prayer and I said, "Thank you for
Yeah.
answering my prayers." And so the point is that, I've seen where we were versus where we are now. And I'm so ecstatic. I can't say how blessed that I feel for so many others now being able to actually reach out and get the help that they need, because back then it was few, far, and in between. You couldn't find anybody, and doctors, Suboxone treatment doctors and recovery care doctors were only allowed 50 patients per for the longest time.
Hmm.
Because then too, Suboxone was still in its early goings and it still had the patent lock on it and all that stuff for the first 3 years, as many of those pharmaceutical drugs usually operate through before they're able to have generic versions made. But you know, seeing what people went through to try to get help back then, many just resorted right back to their addiction because they were like, "Oh, well, the hell with that. It's way too hard just to get the help that I need. So why the hell try? If nobody wants to help me, then the hell with it. It's just easier for me to go ahead and do what I'm doing." And they get right back in the cycle again, because
Yep.
better to be high than to suffer the good old beast that we know as withdrawal. And it really is a sad thing. Many doctors back then wouldn't even recognize one of their patients as having issues. And I was up at over 260 milligrams of Oxycontin. And my doc still sat there and had the audacity to tell me, "You're doing good. You're doing good." As I was half zombified at that point. I mean, I was good during the day, but then towards about 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, yeah.
Well, those doctors are making so much money off of addicts. So, of course, they wouldn't want you to get clean. Like those pain doctors in the early 2000s that was, just handing out scripts of Oxycontin. It was crazy back then. I mean, Oxycontin was, whew.
Oh yeah, yep. And I'll tell you, that's why I'll tell you, taking them, snorting them. I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
I was a monster. I really
Me
was.
too. And then, the government started to come down on these doctors, so they stopped giving out these prescriptions. And that's what led a lot of people to go to heroin because it
Yeah.
was easy to get. And, they became addicts getting all these prescriptions. Oh,
Yeah, you are absolutely right. You are 100% correct. And I saw so many people that didn't have any other
yeah.
choice but to
Yeah.
do these things. And then I have just, I don't know, I made it my life's mission to do everything that I can to try to help others and at least try to somewhat emulate what my mother did with her life. Because I think, like I said on your live last night, if I can help at least half the people that she did during her whole career by the time I leave this world, I'll feel fulfilled. I'll be done. I'll be very happy to say, all right, God, I'm ready. Not that I really have a choice in that, but you know what I mean.
I do. And, like back in the early 80s, if we just had the knowledge that we have now back then, maybe my mom would be alive. So I'm really grateful that, there's centers opening up and there's more people that understand addiction these days because it does help. And I don't know. I'm still pretty frazzled.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I understand. That's why I knew. Yeah, I was actually texting Tawanda. Poor Tawanda. I'm sure she's listening. Hi, love. I really, I regret that because I know she's working and you know how hard she works. And I was like, can you please text Sarah? Tell her to call me. And then she was the
Oh,
one that actually told me you were live again because I saw the first one bombed out. I'm like, oh, damn. I felt bad because here I am interrupting her. She's like the world's hardest working woman
she
or one of
really
our.
is. I love Tawanda half to death. And the poor thing, she works all the time. She hardly skips a beat.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, she owes no one nothing, and I am so just surprised, and I feel blessed at how big and huge her heart is. It
Oh,
genuinely
yeah,
is.
absolutely. There's no one she wouldn't help. I mean, she's a great lady and she's an amazing friend, and I'm very lucky to have her in my life. And she's so selfless. Like everything she does is always for other people, and she won't let you do anything for her. But I love Tawanda. She's a great listener and she's a good friend.
I agree. Like I said, and she's actually referred a person or two to me that we've been trying to work with. I believe you even know one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and it just it never ceases to amaze me, and it really does help to, I guess. It gives me a new, refreshed feeling of confidence for humanity when I see people like Tawanda that are out there through all these other negative naysayers and down and out types and aggressive types out there. And here she comes from knowing what her story was, as she said many times before, where she came from and some of the things that she's done, and then to see where she is now. I mean, she doesn't have to be in that position. She could be just like where she was before, but
Yeah.
she made that choice to want to do better and have a better life and help so many others. And I can tell you, I think it's one of the reasons why I saw her over a year plus ago. I think it was on Days for Justice or something like that. But I remember always seeing and then even hearing about her name, and and not even just because of all the super chats she would throw out there, but just because of how kind she was and all the nice compliments and comments that she would leave. And I'm like, wait, they said that she was a tyrant at one time. Wait, her, Tawanda? But then when you get to talking to her, you can see where,
Yeah.
yeah, I tell you, she may be nice, but yet you don't want to piss her off. Nope, 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 nope. She
Yeah.
will.
Never take her kindness for weakness. Woo.
Exactly. Exactly. I tell you. Oh, but
But
I
the whole thing with Rev, what I'm saying is instead of fighting with me on this, why not talk about how you stayed clean? Why not share that? You really have nothing to be mad at, Rev. Like I didn't attack you. I don't want to fight with you on who did more drugs. I don't want to fight on how pure heroin is in Philly. I don't care about that. What matters to me is the fact that you've been clean for 3 years. Why don't you share that instead of trying to debate on who did what and who did more? That's my
exactly.
thing. Like
We can,
I'm so bothered by this. Like you have no idea. Like I can't
uh,
believe he like came at me sideways about this. It's
I
never happened, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, and look, I mean, obviously, we are ever evolving creatures. We obviously learn all kinds of new things, bad, good, or indifferent, each and every single day. But I applaud you for actually, and I was even thinking to myself after BTS shut her live down, I'm thinking, who's going live? And I even thought maybe Sarah will, but I didn't know if you were up to it or not. So, of course, I'm texting around to a few different people, like, hey, what's going on? Try to figure out because I knew the conversation just wasn't going to end right there.
Yeah,
I had
I
that.
couldn't let it in there. And I would really like Rev to come up and talk about this, but I don't think he's going to. And
Oh,
I did time him out because he was being a jackwagon in the chat. So I timed him out. I don't know if he's still here or not, but I would
so
like him to explain to me why he's so full of anger towards me. Like, what did I do to set you off? That's all I really want to know. I don't.
I am so sorry, everybody. I'm actually going over chat now. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Sarah.
Oh, you're fine.
Because I saw a question somebody had asked about the percentages. Because I guess people do know that it's one thing I can say that I feel blessed that I am pretty decent with numbers, with all the studying and the research and all the doctors that I openly talk to from several different programs all across the country that send me stuff like all the time. I'm actually in daily texts and emails and conversations. I think it might have been Galway Girl or somebody that had asked about the
I
percentage.
think it's me, Vito. He said Galway girl, probably close to 65% go from prescription to heroin.
Oh yes, yep. That's actually it's quite an accurate number. It is, but according to I believe it's the 2016 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, it's 0.2% of people, roughly about 475,000, I believe, age 12 or older, report using heroin in the past month. Now this was back, I think, July. The study was done, and then 0.4%. Roughly about 948,000, I think, give or take, reported using in the past year. And then 1.8%, roughly about, I think it's, carry 4,981,000 people reported using at least once in their lifetime. So, I mean, there are some slight variations from year to year, concerning the use of heroin, but it's increased exponentially. Just
Oh,
to
since the pandemic alone, people have,
yes,
you know, it
yes. I'm sorry.
sad.
Yeah, it is, and that goes hand in hand with stats like that. There are literally between 960,000 to 3 million incidents of domestic violence reported every year. Since this whole pandemic, since all this nonsense is crap broken out, okay, it's estimated that at least 10 million people have suffered some sort of domestic violence within the United States, and that was sourced Fed.gov, CDC.gov,
Hmm.
and I think SAMHSA. I can't remember. I'm sorry, I don't have my notebook with me. So usually I like to jot all these little tidbits down because I know. And
Oh,
another
it's
cool
me,
fact.
Vito. You're so right. Since the pandemic, the overdose rate has increased greatly. It absolutely has. I
Yes.
mean,
Yep.
just looking at the news, it's just filled with obituaries from or stories from the coroner's office that say that they don't even have the room for all the people that's overdosed. It's sad. It's
You're absolutely right. Angel,
okay, Rev. Would you like to come up and talk this out, or are you just gonna like troll the chat? I mean, I don't have a problem with you, Rev. I honestly don't. I just don't know where your anger came from. I don't know why you got so upset. And I don't want to leave it that way. I don't want to fight with you, like at all.
well, I think good, bad, or indifferent, whatever the outcome is today, I think that obviously, you both obviously have the right to walk your own way. And Sarah, for all that you've done just for this community alone and what you've done with Brandon in your personal life, let alone with your own success in conquering of your addiction, even with whatever slip ups you've ever may have endured, you have nothing to feel bad or guilty over. Or, I mean, I can see honestly why you're upset, definitely. But just always know that you don't owe anybody anything. And all you really should do is focus on yourself and just keep being you. Really keep being you.
Thank you for that, True Helper.
Hey, you're so very welcome. And you've earned that from me. And I'll just say this so that anybody that doesn't know me or know Sarah or know me and Sarah, it's more of a new friendship. I really didn't even, I mean, I've seen Sarah in the past months and, up to maybe a year ago, I guess, but I
Yeah,
really,
I got really familiar with you when you was in Carla's chat with Misdemeanor. And I really liked the things you were talking about. And we can relate on some things. And yeah.
yeah, it was always quite interesting.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show, too, I know some people even misunderstood or maybe even took me a little wrong. But as many know, I've always referenced my queen, my Mrs. Helper, and she actually she's just in the adjacent room. So if anybody's got it,
Oh.
believe me, she'd be more than willing to ask. Actually, she just had surgery a couple of days ago. So
Oh,
she's
did she?
laid up. Yeah, just a follow up from her lumpectomy that she had, just some corrective surgery, but nothing big. Thankfully, we are far past that time. So that's
Well,
yeah.
good vibes and prayers to her.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Sarah. And I'll definitely relay that.
Thank
Have
you.
you heard that? Nope. Yes. I better not speak too loud. I'll get a rush of doggies up in here. She's laying in the back. It's the one thing that's been a little difficult is I've had to she's not able to lift like up to 10 pounds for at least a week.
Oh,
And, our smallest dog is about 58 pounds, and our largest is up to now, what is he, 127 pounds, I think.
they're just big babies. They want to lay on top of you.
Yeah, but
They think they're little dogs.
yeah, they feel like if they haven't seen you in a couple hours,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they do tend to want to jump, or they try to think they are, like you said, lap dogs.
Yep.
Especially the boy that you see on the screen. Yeah, he's the buck 27 pounder. He's a big blockhead loving baby, but
He's a handsome boy.
Oh yeah, but he's also a handful of a boy. He gets to pulling, and if you don't correct him immediately, he's pulling your ass right down the block. Tell you, I can't wait till it snows next because I'm going to tie him up to a stinking sled, and I'm telling you, he'll whip us around everywhere. I have no doubts that boy's got so much strength, more than any other dog I have ever dealt with. And people who know me around my community know I've dealt with literally thousands of dogs.
See, I used to have big dogs. I used to have boxers, and God, I love them. They're like big old babies. But now I have little itty bitty toy poodles, and boy, I'm telling you what, I actually miss my big dogs.
You went from giant to gnome, huh?
Yes, yes.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Everybody's got their different tastes. And with them poodles, I guess they're like hypoallergenic, aren't they?
They are, yes. And that's why I got them. Because my son, he has some problems with allergies and different things. But ever since we've had the toy poodles, he's done great. And yeah. And they don't shed. So that's a plus.
Yeah, that's part of the hypoallergenic part. Mm-hmm. That's why I said it, because many have noticed with the influx with parents having children that have a lot of these allergies and a lot of these other things that have been happening in the past 10 years. It's really has been a boom in that market. Now people are actually taking the poodle breed and doing all like the poo diddle or the diddly poos and the doodle puggles and all that. No offense, Poodle. If you're out there, we love you. You know I love you, girl. But it's crazy that they've made so many different mixed breeds or crap.
Wow, little doodles, like a poodle
hybrid.
And
there we go.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that words were that hard. I was almost going to forget the word hybrid. What in the hell is wrong with me? Mm-hmm.
You know what, Anna Mary? They are. Dogs are the best antidepressants ever. My dog, if she knows that I'm upset, she will just come and lay with me, and I love her. She's great.
Well, dang, I'm just going back in some old chat. Boom! Kiki ramblings. I love what you said. True Albert does what's right, not what's popular. Girl, I have lost so many people that I thought were my friends from being that way. And I'm not even talking about the politics side. I'm talking about just even within the recovery care program. Yeah, I have pissed off some people. I have actually had friends of mine because of what my mom did for a living, being in the medical field for 50 years. She was that I had doctors that I was friends with for 30, 35 years that now I'm on the outs with because I called them out for overprescribing and many other things. And even one that I actually had, let's just say that the medical board was involved, and he no longer practices medicine. But
wow.
Yeah, Oh yeah, yep. So see, I'm usually when I say I'm busy, trust I'm always in the zone. And that's another reason why going back to what we were speaking of last night, I would love to get with Brandon because I feel like the with his intellect and his brain power and what he's been through and what he's seen, I
Yeah.
just have a feeling for some reason. And I
I think
sometimes
that would be a great topic for you both to have, and to have both of you on panel talking and discussing it. I would love that. Like, you wouldn't believe. We need to set a date maybe and like actually do this. That would be so cool, I think.
I think something very honorable, noble, and just amazing could be born because
Mhm.
I'm just getting so sick and tired of finding these different states that really make it so hard and difficult for others just to get the help that they need, and then knowing the things like the Hippocratic Oath, amongst many other statutes and laws are out there that do in fact protect patients, but they would still turn somebody away even after somebody says, well, I'm in full blown withdrawal and I don't have any other choice. I need help. And they still get turned away. To me,
Yeah.
you'd have a better time at walking up to me and punching me in the face and trying to slap my little lady, which believe me would probably be instant death. But anyway, but no, but seriously, that just, it's so disgusting to me that there are these docs out there and these clinics and all that that seem to forget their place in the world and where they get their budgets from, because that's at the end of the day what really matters. And I hate to say it that way, but it's really true with many of these clinics and many of these recovery care doctors' offices and however they want to term themselves all around this stinking country. They seem to forget that they get the bulk of the money they use to operate by, aka their budget. They just, I don't know, they seem to forget that they do have these rules that they have to operate by. And I can't stand how they've been treating everybody like cattle lately. But I can tell you, it's why it almost felt ironic to me dealing with the one friend I believe you know that I'm speaking of in the
Mhm.
state that person lives in. The, just the sheer madness this person has had to go through, when yet in the state of New Jersey, where all my stuff originated from, one of the like the second or the third highest, having the most laws in the country type of state, where you can literally walk into any recovery care clinic, and by the time that you're done, no matter what you've been on, whatever doctor you've seen, and anything included, you can walk in there and then you're 99% of the time you're going to see a doctor. If not, they'll refer you to somebody else and you'll have treatment within hours, and then you'll be out of there on and in some kind of recovery care program that is, well, formulated obviously to suit the patient, but you know what I mean.
I think a lot of times these doctors get kickbacks, and, I think they let greed get to them. And it's sad that you'll turn away patients that don't have insurance just because of greed. Brandon has seen that so many times, and it's sad. And I think that, getting you two on panel together and talking about this would be great. He
I
definitely knows more about it than I do. I just hear secondhand from what he tells me and stuff. But yeah.
Yep, I agree. And like I said, I do. I look forward to that. I think that would be amazing because, I mean, to be honest, in my first, I don't know, 2 or 3 years of my recovery care, I was always a cash and carry guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did notice at that time where I can remember even being in the old waiting area, the original place where I started in, because it was coupled with a methadone treatment clinic as well. And I would see all these people walking in, and I would hear person after person after person always complaining, well, what do you mean you don't accept my insurance? Or why is that an issue? But then the moment that you would say, well, okay, what if I pay cash? Cha-ching.
And see,
Okay.
that's my problem with some of
Woo!
these Suboxone clinics, because there's some Suboxone clinics that say, well, we will not see you unless you give us $200 up front. And that irks me so bad. They won't do insurance, but they'll do cash. And I hate that, because there's some people out there that don't have that kind of money to give, but they do have insurance and they can't be seen. That's big in my area.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it is. It's very, very unfortunate. But, when you have things like Medicaid, Medicare, the wellness
Mm-hmm.
programs and all that, I do understand that they have their prerequisites and stipulations. But I can honestly say that I have noticed, it would just like you got done saying, the the biggest problem is most of these clinics, because they've either set themselves up as such to only accept certain forms of payment. And I even know a few that they set themselves up for cash only. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
how in the hell can they operate like that? But, again, at the end of the day, it's a business. It unfortunately is crude and rough, and whatever disrespectful as it sounds, is exactly what it is. And that's why everybody seems to also forget that one of the biggest reasons why many people get into the position that they are with addiction is by many, many of these corrupt docs that are out there. They, as you also said earlier, they take these, I almost refer to them as bribes, because to me, that's what they are. When you get paid to push somebody else's garbage, basically, in essence, that's what it is. But many of these docs, they get these financial incentives. And then, even with all the student loan debt that they have and everything else, then you wonder why they have $1 million homes, or they have the boats and all that. And don't get me wrong, I know the docs also that are dirt poor, but those are usually the ones that are actually honest, that don't take all the incentives and whatever else. You can always notice a difference in doctors by
Absolutely. Rev, I'm going to tell you this. Grab a link. Galway girl, can you give a link to Rev? Nobody is scared to debate you, Rev. I don't understand why you think anybody is scared of you. If you want to come up here and talk, come up here and talk. Just don't call me names. Don't scream at me. There's no reason for that.
Now's the time. Now's the time. I got a few more minutes, so if by all means, I won't leave you there, Sarah. Definitely won't do that. But
well, thank you.
I'd be more than willing to have a discussion with you, brother. Come on up.
And it's not that I'm scared of you, Rev. Yeah, you made me cry because you really caught me off guard, when you started cussing at me and yelling at me, and that really kind of threw me off guard. I didn't really know what to say. So yeah, I'm an emotional person. I cry all the time. So I mean, it's not that you made me cry. It's just, God, I'm not used to being called names like that. And it was weird. But if you want to come up here and have a civilized conversation, we can do that for sure.
Yeah, we're all adults here. I mean, trust me, to have civil discourse and decent discussion, there's nothing in this world that we can't solve or break through.
Thank you, Galway.
As I said earlier, there's many people that I'm very good friends with now that when we first started out, we hated each other. I mean, literally fisticuffs with some of them. But, we realized the error of our ways, and we were able to find common ground, come to a mutual understanding and agreement. Okay, we might be different. We might have different ideologies. But again, we're all God's children. I know I've said that time and time again, but I'll say it until the cows come home. Hey, Tawanda, big ups. Whoop, whoop. No.
And if it wasn't for God's grace, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm very proud to talk about God, and I'm not ashamed of that. So I do think God has a lot to do with us being here today, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. And that's my opinion. Oh, let's see. Is that Rev? Don't porn me, Rev.
I'm not going to porn anyone. I just want to say, Ross dog, you're a little bitch. Your wife left you.
Oh, gosh. Rev, don't. Come on, just talk.
I need like an intro, Ross, you're a little bitch.
Okay, right. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to scream and fight with you, Rev. I find you entertaining. I don't know.
No, I never had any problems with you. That's why I was kind of like concerned why you're trying to come against me or turn against me.
I'm not trying to come against you. Like, you came at me like really hot and heavy, and like you was.
No, I wasn't coming at you per se. I was coming at the panel guest,
Well, and with all due respect, I did hear you cussing directly at her, Rev. Let's be honest here. Because I do remember.
I like Sarah Dippity, whatever the fuck she calls herself. It's something like that, yeah, man. I like her.
And I like you. I just, I didn't understand why you got so mad. And I don't want to compare who did what. And,
I got mad. Listen. The whole thing with me is I hate RDA and I hate fucking Brutal Mafia.
Okay,
so
well, I don't
anything
think Sarah has anything
to them, I hate.
I don't really know what RDA is. I mean, I know who they are, but I'm not involved.
They suck. RDA. They're boring. Okay. They stream to 20 people. Nobody cares.
Okay. Well, that's not what this discussion's about, brother. Let's stay on boy here.
All right. What's it?
Funny though.
All right, keep me on.
Okay, I think you would have a lot to offer talking about your story and how you've been able to maintain 3 years of
Yeah, but what
sobriety.
is the platform to do so? You know what I mean? Where I'm
Here,
not going
I
to get
know
like cut
either
down and
me or
dragged.
Mandolin. You remember when we all got off panel and we was still kind of yelling at each other? Amanda Lynn, she said that she would have a platform for you if you would ever like to talk about that. I mean, that's something to be so proud of. 3 years is a huge accomplishment. And I hear that you just lost your mom. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. And my condolences to you. So I kind of maybe understand your anger a little. I get that. And I'm so sorry for your loss.
yeah, mine too. That sucks. I lost both of my parents within 10 months of each other just a few years ago. So, yeah, that pain never leaves you. It always
No,
sucks.
it doesn't.
Pulls at your
And
heartstrings. But that's what makes us who we are. We learn to fight through those emotions we
You
use.
know, it's hard to go through that shit, but like my mom died pretty recently and my
I
dad
am
was
so
never
sorry.
around.
I
Yeah.
am
No,
so
it's all good.
sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, but Rev, I mean, you can see in throughout the chats, and I've seen it time and time again on different panels that I've been on. You got a lot of people that like you. They like your humor. They like, the way that you talk, your style. And, you do all these little parodies and stuff at times, or I guess you can refer to them.
Rev's hysterical. When he gets the music playing,
I think
he's
Sarah,
hysterical.
I think Sarah's 100% right, brother. I think if you were to focus all of your experience, your power, your anger, your aggression, your sadness, everything on your addiction, and know that you can use that as a valuable tool to help educate others that you also see that are in the same position that you were, I think that could be such a
Well, see,
positive.
that's kind of the whole thing, man. Like, I would like to do that in the near future, but like the thing is, I
You
don't have
should.
the foundation or like support myself to be able to help these people.
Well, you're building it
Anytime you
now.
want to come up on panel with me or, with Amanda Lynn or whoever, do it because your story could help so many others. You just never understand or know who you can actually help by telling and sharing your story and what's happened to you and how you got clean and how you're able to maintain your sobriety.
And you want to talk about the foundation, you're building it now, brother. You might not even
Absolutely.
realize it, but trust me, all of us were there. Rev, I'm not going to talk down to you, not in the least bit. But trust me, for as lost as you may feel at times or whatever, I can guarantee you all of us were at one point in time or another. But at least nowadays, we do have social media. And that by itself can be such a powerful foundation to be able for us to use our own experiences and get the message out there that you never know who might be listening to it and say, hey, if he can do it or she can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
For me,
But no, I've already experienced that, man. Like, I put my 2 cents out there, and like people have reached out to me and said that I helped them a lot, and
That's an awesome thing. And doesn't it make you feel good? Like that's an
it
awesome
does.
feeling.
Yeah,
and
sure.
there you go. There you go. You're already starting to see the fruits of those labors. And trust me, it's not as out of touch or out of reach as you may think. I know a lot of times people, they get a little confused or they get misled by thinking that they need a huge foundation or platform to help others by. But look at me, Rev. I don't have a channel. I have like 500 or 600 subs or something like that. I don't know how many that I have, but I've never done a video a day in my life. But I have been on several different channels, just sharing my experiences and trying to always put it out there that if anybody needs help, I'll do whatever I can to help. So I know that if I've done what I've been able to do, I have faith that you can do the same, brother. I
Well,
really.
see, we
Absolutely.
have that kind of thing with Sam Hull's channel. You know what I mean? We're starting to build it up. For example, our last VOD got like 2.2K views, I think.
Oh,
So how do you turn that into something positive? You know what I mean? How do you
Look at
help other
Sarah.
people in the
You know,
process?
take the people that you may emulate and even the ones that you hate. Learn everything that you can from them. Their good points, their bad points, the way that they may edit, the way they produce. Watch the chats, see how people talk, how they interact, and then use that as your platform, as your base marketing and or business design. Because building, that's what YouTube basically is. It's just a business, but people obviously.
Networking, basically. Yeah. Like I try to like feel out there. You know what I mean? I try to like put a hand in every single one of the communities that I can, but
That's good. I tell you.
I don't know. I want to bring something new to the YouTube community. You know what I mean? Like I watch a lot of these streams. It's the same old people, same old fucking shit. And
Well, it can, but you know what? I honestly know for a fact, because I do have several friends that are around your age and even younger. They have the ability to reach through to these younger generations.
oh,
Unlike
absolutely, I do too. Yeah, like I ran a fucking big Discord for a long time, and
well, there you go. There you go, man. Look, I think you
but
have.
how do we reach out to these kids? Because like, when I talk to them, they're saying like, that's too boring for me. I don't even want to watch it. So how do we?
You'll always get the naysayers. You always get those that say, "Oh, you're boring. I'm leaving. You bunch of jackasses."
Yeah, but it's usually the younger generation. How do we bring the younger generation into this whole fold?
You use the power of technology and you use the pain and the experiences of others to further let them know that, hey, I'm only here to help. And though you may not get a swarm of people at first, trust me, I moderate for some channels that are up to 2 million subs, and I can remember when they only had a few hundred. So I know that these things can happen. It's persistence, it's blood, sweat, and tears, it's sweat equity, it's every day getting up, grinding, and doing your thing. And even if sometimes you got to take a break, you got to be responsible and obviously focus on yourself first. Build that skin up and know that you are ready psychologically, physically, spiritually, and then hit that shit as hard as you can. That's what you got to do.
That's the thing, man. If like I fixed myself tomorrow, like if I had fucking everything, like perfect looks, new teeth, everything, like there would be no stopping me. There really wouldn't be. And,
there's no such thing as a perfect time. Let me be
no, that would be a perfect time because I would utilize every opportunity that I'm given.
Thank you.
Because I would have no other reason not to.
Of course, but I guess my point would be is that if you're looking for a perfect time to start, I would have to recommend or say, or at least based upon my experiences with many others that have gone that route, is that it's whenever you feel personally that you can handle being and taking on such a task. Because you got to remember, even if you start small, if it does blow up, now you'll kind of have a responsibility. So you do have to have a little bit of personal responsibility and look forward and to know what to expect.
Well, dude, I ran a shift of meat cutters for how many goddamn years? I mean, I have some sense of responsibility. For example, I have a kitten that crawls up my leg every 10 minutes now.
Nice.
That's some sense of responsibility,
Yeah.
Mommy kitty's being a dildo. Well, I know a certain kitty that's going to bed with mommy tonight. Sorry, it's old South Park. That's a bit of an old school. I'm so sorry. I had to. See, I don't always have to be an old fuddy-duddy. And no, I'm not a boomer. Well, maybe I am. I don't know. Me and Tawanda use that joke sometimes.
You sound like a bit of a boomer, man. It sounds like you fucking went through plenty of cartons of cigarettes, but
no,
you can say I'm an old G. That's for sure. I've been through Kensington.
We kind of had the same.
Look, I haven't smoked a cigarette since May. I am so proud of myself for that.
Holy shit, you're a better person than I.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You're a better person than both of us.
I wouldn't say better, but man, it's good to not smoke though.
We just have these fucking
every now and then, so.
It's inspiring. Definitely is inspiring. So, Rev, in short, if I could just like ballpark summarize everything, look, sometimes you're going to have people that will think you're the biggest asshole in the world, but you don't have to play into that crap. Okay, brother, you just don't. It's easy for people to pick fights, but it's a whole lot harder to have civil discourse and actually be able to get and put the proper message out there. But it takes time, man. Like you said, it's always going to feel like it's not worth it at first because, I got a room of 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. But trust me, man, it's exponential growth. In the world of social media, y'all youngins know it by now. You got the Twitters, the Instagrams, the this, the that, the TikToks. I mean, you guys got all this, technological crap that I don't know the first thing about. Usually I got to call our sons and be like, what the hell? How the hell do you work this? and usually they laugh typically. But the point is at least you have that edge. You've grown up with this stuff, so you have a better sense of how it goes and how to market it and how to market yourself. You're already marketing yourself, whether you know it or not now, because people are going to come back here and watch this live in the future and be like, oh, wait, maybe he's not such an asshole after all. Because you're able to come up here and have.
I'm not an asshole, right? I'm a good guy.
Oh,
Why
I know.
don't you start a
what I
channel,
mean, man.
Rev? Why don't you start a YouTube channel and get a following going?
We
And
have
just-
a following. I'm part
Yeah,
of
why
Sam
don't you
Hill's
put it on
Righteous
YouTube?
America.
Well, you said the Sam Pool channel. Is that where you guys operate out of? Is that a committed thing? Or are you kind of looking to do something with that?
I mean, it will probably dissolve in due time, but for the meantime, yeah, that's where I operate.
Well, in the meanwhile, just get
Sam
educated.
Hill Righteous on YouTube.
Yeah, put him a plug in. Everybody check out Sam Hill. I watch.
Yeah, after that, I'll go to my own channel and I'll just start streaming myself. And yeah,
you should.
I'll get a better microphone and everything, and we're gonna do it live.
I don't know if it might help you, Rev, but what has helped me, and granted, yeah, I'm a bit old school here. All right, maybe the boomer, I don't know, but I am an old pen and paper kind of guy. But what I did before I started making any kind of presence or making myself known on YouTube is I sat back and I took notes. I watched people. I watched how they ran the channel. And I got in with all these different channels, Anthony Brian Logan, Brandon Tatum's, this one, Zav Girl, Jazz for Justice, Scott Wright. I mean, I became a model on many of their channels, and I just sat back and learned. I just watched them. I studied them. I was writing all these notes down and still have the notes because then I refer back to them. And I think about doing my own channel thing in the future. But for right now, it suits me and it feels more comfortable with my schedule and how I'm as busy as I am to just be on panels like this one and many others that I've been on in the past. So just maybe taking notes and doing something like that might help you. You know what I mean? Because as quickly as we think things,
the thing is, man, you have a good voice, though. I think you could honestly host.
Yeah,
good
Charlie has a great voice. There's many women that love his voice. I think JoJo's up to what, 8 kids now?
No, actually, we have 180 kids now. Yep. Every time I see her, we've got like 2 or 3 more. Damn, support us through the roof. I can't take it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, I guess. I don't know. Something bad's happening there, but I thought I had an internet vasectomy a little while ago, but I guess it's fake because I see all them little babies, kids, and chitlins running around. It's getting a little old. Sorry, JoJo, but we got to do something, girl. Anyway.
I wonder where JoJo is. I haven't seen her in a few days. Hope she's all right.
Yeah, I saw her last week, I think. Maybe in Truth's Chat. I can't remember.
You guys, I'm going to have to cut this short here in a few minutes, but I'm so glad, Rev, that you came up here and we was able to talk this out. I hope.
Did we find some kind of peace?
Yeah. I mean, I don't hold any resentments towards
you.
you.
I like you, Sarah. I don't know why you
haven't.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
okay.
you called me some names, and I'm like, oh my God.
I wouldn't call you names. I might have called the stream names.
Well, I said some pretty mean things after the live ended, and I'm sorry for that. I didn't know what to say, and I was mad, and I apologize.
We've always been pretty cool to each other, I would like to think. Yeah.
And I think so too. And True Helper, you have no idea how much I greatly appreciate everything you ever say and for your wisdom and the experiences. And I love hearing your story, True Helper. And I'm so glad that you come up here and talk.
You have a good voice, man. Honestly,
he does.
Yeah.
He does for sure.
I have no hard feelings against you or anything.
Well, I appreciate that. And Rev, if I may say, I can honestly tell that there has even been some growth here today because I know I've even grown quite a bit because I knew I didn't really know you all that well. And I'll be honest, I was saying some things in the previous chat, calm down and all this other kind of stuff. But I do understand where you're coming from because, again, all of us, we have to take this time and just remember that we've all been there, done that in one way, shape, or form. And no matter what we do, every day is going to be a struggle in certain ways. Some days will be better than others, but it's not always perfect. It damn well is not.
Damn right.
Yeah. Some days you can wake up with a dog biting in the ass, and the other, well, who knows? You might get a check with some
up 1 o'clock feather pillow.
Or as my buddy said it the other day, which threw me all off. Sounds very awful at first, but really is clever. But he said he just got done giving his head pillow or his pillow head for 6 hours. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I got it. So maybe that was the boomer and me not keeping up with the times. I don't know. But anyway, I know you said you got to bounce. Rev, it has been a pleasure, brother. And I'm glad that
Ellie, man, I'm glad I could get up and talk to you.
Yeah,
For a
thank
little
you
bit.
guys for both coming up. I appreciate it. And Rev, I'm so glad that we was able to work this out. I mean, I like you, and so we'll just, just forget about what happened earlier. And I'm gonna
It's all in the
apologize to
past, you know.
BTS.
It
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad we're all good. I think I'm gonna jump off here though, you guys.
Yep.
And everybody in chat, we love you. We definitely do. I'm sorry.
Love you,
Absolutely.
chat.
We missed it. Absolutely.
Ben Ashworth, just for you. B. Fergs, Mr. Cardinal. I know.
Bunch of them. Kiki.
Hope everyone has a good day.
Brian, I'm going to reach out to BTS. I hope everything's okay. I'm sorry that she had to end her stream because of all that. But, I apologize to anybody that was triggered over what me and Rev were discussing. I'm so sorry that even happened.
Yeah, my bad.
And here we are.
Yeah, we worked it out.
This is a beautiful thing, y'all. And this is the proof that true civil discourse and decency can always prevail over anger and hatred. God bless y'all. I appreciate this.
God bless. Amen.
All right.
Thank
y'all
you
have a
guys.
good one.
I'm going to jump off here. Thank you guys for supporting me and my channel. I hope everybody has a good day and a good weekend. I'll talk to everyone later.
Later. Go away, girl.
Bye. Yeah.